Queen Vexara lay on the cracked stone floor of what used to be her grand throne room. Smoke rose from broken walls and twisted metal beams. The air smelled of burnt metal and dead flesh. Her once shining carapace was cracked and black with soot. One wing hung limp and torn. Her royal crest, that had glowed bright purple for 300 years, was now dull and chipped. She could no longer feel the warm hum of her hive mind. The silence inside her head hurt more than the wounds on her body. Her daughters were gone. Her guards were gone. Her workers, her soldiers, her consorts, all gone. The great Keltaran Empire that stretched across 40 star systems had fallen in less than 2 cycles. The machine fleets came first, with their cold beams and endless drones. Then the rival hives joined the attack, eager to tear apart the old queen and take her place. In the end, nothing was left but ruins and ash. Vexara dragged herself forward, one clawed hand at a time. Liquid silver dripped from her side. She reached the raised platform where her throne once stood. The throne was gone, melted into slag by plasma fire. Only a shallow pit remained, where she used to sit and speak to her people, through the link. Now the link was dead, and she was alone. She stopped and sat back on her haunches. Her breath came in short, painful gasps. Tradition was clear. When a queen lost her hive, and could no longer protect it, she must end the bloodline herself. No heir, no future, no shame carried forward. She lifted one forelimb. The sharp talon at the end gleamed even in the dim light. She would drive it into the soft spot under her jaw, and be done. A sound came from the broken doorway. Metal scraped on stone, then stopped. Footsteps followed, slow and careful. Vexara turned her head. A figure stood there, framed by the red glow of distant fires. It was small compared to her kind. No more than half her height. It wore a thick armored suit, patched in many places. A helmet, covered its face, but the visor was up, revealing a flat face, with 2 small eyes and a short growth of dark hair on the top. The human stepped inside. He carried a large pack on his back, and a long rifle slung over one shoulder. He looked around at the destruction, then at her. His eyes widened for a moment, but he did not run. He walked closer, until he stood just out of claw reach. Vexara hissed a warning sound that once made whole armies freeze. The human did not move. He tilted his head and spoke in a low, calm voice. "You look hurt." She stared at him. Her mandibles clicked together in anger. A human here, a scavenger no doubt, come to pick through the bones of her empire. She forced words through her damaged throat. "Leave this place, or die." The human scratched the side of his neck. He looked at the blood pooling under her, then at the ruined chamber again. "I came to find something worth taking. Turns out, everything is gone, except you." She pushed herself up, ignoring the pain that shot through her legs. Her remaining wing flared out, casting a shadow over him. "I am Vexara, last queen of the Keltaran. You will show respect, or I will tear your soft flesh apart." The human nodded slowly. "I know who you are. I traded with your outposts for years. Good spice, good tech, fair prices." He took one step closer and knelt. He opened his pack and pulled out a small white case. He flipped it open, revealing rows of medical tools and bandages. "Stay back." He ignored her and moved forward again. He reached toward the deep gash on her side. Vexara swung her claw. The blow was weak but fast. It caught his shoulder and sent him sprawling. He hit the ground hard, but rolled and came up on one knee. Blood seeped through the tear in his suit. He looked at the wound, then at her. That was not nice. She bared her fangs. "I said leave." He stood up slowly. He wiped blood from his arm, and shook his head. "Not yet. I think you will bleed out before the night ends. I can stop that, if you let me." Vexara laughed, a harsh, dry sound that echoed off the broken walls. You think to save a queen? You, a lone soft-skin, with no hive, no honor? The human shrugged. I patch things. Broken ships, broken people, broken queens. Same difference. He stepped forward again. This time, she did not strike. She watched him with narrow eyes. He knelt beside her and pressed a cloth to the worst wound. It soaked red in seconds. He pulled out a small device and pressed it against her side. A soft hiss sounded as it sprayed something cold and numbing. She flinched, but did not pull away. The pain eased a little. Why do this? He kept working without looking up. Because I can. She stared at the top of his head. His hair was dirty and matted with ash. He smelled of sweat and machine oil and something else she could not name. No treasure. No slaves. No glory. He tied a bandage tight and sat back on his heels. Maybe I just do not like to see things die alone. Vexara felt something strange move inside her chest. Not the hive link, not fear, not anger. Something small and unfamiliar. She pushed it down. I will die anyway. Tradition demands it. He looked at her face for a long moment. Tradition sounds like a bad deal right now. He stood and offered his hand, not to help her up, but to show it was empty. My name is Elias Kane. I have a shelter not far from here. It has walls and heat and clean water. Come if you want. Stay here if you want. But if you stay here, you die tonight. Vexara looked at his hand, then at the empty throne pit, then at the sky visible through the shattered roof. Stars shone cold and distant. No ships, no signals, no daughters calling for their mother. She rose slowly. Every movement hurt, but she forced her body to obey. She towered over him. Wounded. If you try to harm me, I will kill you slowly. Elias smiled a small, tired smile. Fair enough. He turned and walked toward the doorway. He did not look back to see if she followed. Vexara stood for a long time. The wind carried ash across the floor. She looked at the claw she had raised to end her life. Then she lowered it. She took one step, then another. Elias waited at the edge of the ruins. He had pulled his helmet back on but left the visor up. When she reached him, he nodded once. It is a bit of a walk. Try not to bleed on my boots. She hissed softly, but followed him into the dark. The queen who had ruled 40 systems walked behind a single human through the ashes of her empire. She did not know why she did it. She only knew that for the first time in her long life, the silence in her mind was broken by the quiet sound of boots on stone. And the human refused to leave her side. Elias led the way through the broken city streets. Vexara followed slowly. Each step sent fresh pain through her cracked plates. The night was cold. Wind carried the smell of smoke and wet ash. Elias moved like he knew every crack and hole in the ground. He stopped often to check behind them, or listen for sounds other than their footsteps. After what felt like many hours, they reached a low hill covered in rubble. Elias pushed aside a sheet of metal, revealing a hidden door set into the rock. He typed a code on a small panel. The door hissed open, revealing stairs going down. Inside, the bunker was warm and lit by soft yellow lights. The walls were smooth gray metal. Shelves lined one side, stocked with boxes, cans, and tools. A small bed sat in one corner, a table and 2 chairs in the middle. A heater hummed quietly in the wall. Elias pointed to the bed. Sit there. I need to clean those wounds better. Vexara looked around the small space. It was nothing like her. Grand halls. No pillars, no glowing crystals, no servants waiting to obey. Yet it felt solid, safe, in a way the ruined spire never did anymore. She lowered herself onto the bed carefully, so her weight would not break it. Elias pulled out his white case again. He worked in silence, cutting away torn pieces of her carapace, washing the wounds with clear liquid that stung, then covering them with fresh bandages. He moved with steady hands. No fear showed on his face. When he finished, He stood back and wiped his hands on a cloth. You will live if you rest and eat. I have nutrient paste. It tastes bad, but it works. He handed her a metal tube. She took it and squeezed some into her mouth. The paste was thick and gray. It tasted like old dirt mixed with metal. She forced it down. Why do you have all this? Elias sat on one of the chairs. This was a human relief post, built years ago in case colonies needed help after attacks. Your people let us put it here, because we traded fair. I claimed it after the war started. No one else came back, so it is mine now. Vexara stared at him. You are alone. Most days, yes. Sometimes traders pass through. I fix things for them. They give me food or parts. He stood and walked to a small stove. He heated water and poured it into 2 cups. He added brown powder to one and handed it to her. Tea. It warms the insides. She took the cup. The heat felt good against her claws. She sipped. It was bitter but not unpleasant. Days passed in the bunker. Elias left every morning to search the ruins. He came back with pieces of metal, wires, cables, sometimes food packs or medicine. He never asked her to help. He never complained when he returned tired and dirty. Vexara stayed mostly in the bed at first. Her strength returned slowly. She watched him work. He repaired a broken light panel. He cleaned filters on the air system. He even fixed a small music player that played soft human psalms with words she did not understand. One evening he set up an old hollow projector on the table. He connected wires and tapped keys. The projector flickered to life. It showed images of the old Keltaran spire. Bright purple lights shining, workers moving in perfect order, queens and daughters standing tall. The music that played was the ancient royal hymn. Vexara stared at the images. Her mandibles trembled. Why show me this? Elias sat beside the projector. Because silence is worse than pain. You remember your home. I thought the memory might help. She watched the images until they ended. When the light faded, she spoke quietly. They are all dead. Yes. She looked at him. You do not fear me. Should I? I could kill you in one strike. You could, but you have not. He stood and began to clean the table. I do not think you want to die alone. That is why you followed me. Vexara felt anger rise again. She stood up taller than him. Even now. I followed because I was weak. Now I grow stronger. Soon I will leave and find my own kind. Elias nodded. When you are ready. That night, she lay awake, listening to the hum of the heater. She tried to reach for the hive mind again. Nothing answered. The silence pressed against her like a weight. The next morning, Elias went out again. Vexara waited. She tested her legs. They held better. She walked around the small room. She touched the shelves. She found a box of human books with flat pages and strange marks. She opened one. The pictures showed humans in ships fighting monsters. She closed it quickly. Hours later, Elias returned. He carried a heavy bag. He set it down and pulled out fresh bandages and a small heater unit. Raiders are moving closer. They search the ruins for tech. I set some traps to slow them. Vexara tilted her head. You fight for this place? For the people who might need it someday? Yes. You are strange, human. He laughed a short sound. You are not the first to say that. That afternoon, alarms sounded from a small panel on the wall. Elias checked it. 3 of them, coming this way. He grabbed his rifle and checked the charge. He looked at Vexara. Stay inside. She rose. No, I will fight. You are still healing. I am a queen. I do not hide. Elias looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. Fine, but stay behind me. They went up the stairs. Elias opened the door a crack. Outside, 3 figures moved through the rubble. 2 wore heavy armor. 1 was smaller, carrying tools. Elias whispered, They want the bunker. They think it has good salvage. He stepped out. Vexara followed. The raiders saw them and stopped. The leader raised a weapon. "Human, you have no claim here. Step aside." Elias raised his rifle. "This is my home now. Walk away." Or, what Elias fired once. The shot hit the ground between them, kicking up dust. Warning shot. The raiders hesitated. Then they charged. Elias moved fast. He fired again, hitting one in the leg. The armored figure fell, screaming. Vexara stepped forward. She roared a deep sound that shook the air. The two remaining raiders froze for a second. That second was enough. Elias shot the second one in the chest. The third turned to run. Vexara lunged. Her good wings snapped out, catching the runner and throwing him to the ground. She pinned him with one claw. "Mercy," she said. The raider looked up in terror. "Please," he begged. Elias walked over. "Let him go." Vexara looked at Elias. "He came to kill us. He is beaten. Now he knows better." She lifted her claw. The raider scrambled away, running into the ruins. Elias lowered his rifle. "Thanks for the help." Vexara stared after the fleeing figure. "Yes." "Why?" "Because killing is easy. Living with choices is harder." They returned to the bunker. Elias cleaned a cut on his arm. Vexara sat and watched him. "You bleed for a place that is not yours. It is mine now." She thought about that. "And for me?" He looked up. "Especially for you." Vexara felt something again. That small, unfamiliar thing in her chest. It grew a little stronger. She spoke softly. "I do not understand you, human." Elias smiled. "That is okay. Most days I do not understand me either." Outside, the wind howled through the empty city. Inside the bunker, the heater hummed. And for the first time in many cycles, Vexara did not feel completely alone. Elias kept coming back every day. He kept fixing things. He kept sharing food. He kept refusing to leave. And the queen who had lost her empire began to wonder if she had found something worth keeping instead. Many weeks turned into months inside the small bunker. Vexara grew stronger every day. Her cracked carapace hardened again. Her wing mended enough to fold neatly against her back. She moved with purpose now, no longer needing the bed for most hours. Elias still went out each morning to search the ruins. He brought back more than supplies now. He brought news. One evening he returned with a small black box. He set it on the table and connected wires to the old hollow projector. The device hummed, and a weak signal appeared. Words scrolled across the blue light in sharp Keltaran script. Vexara leaned close to read. Her mandibles opened slowly. "A remnant fleet lives. A princess named Lyra calls herself the new queen. She says the old bloodline ended with me. She offers pardon to any survivor who swears loyalty." The signal repeats every cycle. Elias watched her face. "You could go." Vexara stared at the words for a long time. "If I reveal myself, they might accept me as figurehead, or they might kill me to end any claim I have left." She turned to him. "The journey would take many days across open ground. I am still weak. Raiders fill the paths. Machine scouts watch from the sky. I would die before I reached them." Elias nodded. "Then stay." She hissed softly. "Stay and what? Hide forever in this hole, while a false queen rules what remains of my people?" He sat down across from her. "Or live. Here we have walls. We have food. We have each other." Vexara stood taller. "You speak as if I belong to you, human." "No, I speak as if you belong here. If you want to leave, I will help you go, but I think you will die on the way." She paced the small room. Her claws clicked on the metal floor. "I am Vexara. I ruled 40 systems. I commanded armies that darkened stars. I do not hide." Elias leaned back in his chair. "Ruling is gone. Armies are gone. Stars are still there, but not yours anymore. What is left is you. And right now you are alive because you stayed." She stopped pacing. "You refuse to let me die. I refuse to watch you throw yourself away. Anger rose in her chest. She stepped close enough that her shadow covered him completely. Then take me to the beacon. If I die on the road, so be it. At least I die trying to reclaim what is mine. Elias looked up at her. No. She blinked. No. You heard me. The odds are bad. You bleed out halfway there, or raiders find you, or machines spot your heat signature. I will not carry your body back, just so I can bury it. Vexera roared. The sound filled the bunker, and made the lights flicker. You trap me here. You keep me weak. You pretend care, but you cage me like an animal. Elias did not flinch. I keep you alive. That is different. She raised one claw. The talon pointed at his throat. Give me one reason I should not end you now. Really would be alone. She held the claw steady. Her arm shook not from weakness, but from something deeper. She lowered it slowly. That night, she waited until Elias slept. She moved quietly to the stairs. She opened the door just enough to slip through. Cold air rushed in. She stepped outside. The ruins stretched dark under a sky full of sharp stars. She walked. 50 steps. Later, her legs buckled. Pain shot through her side, where the old wounds still hid under bandages. She fell to her knees. Ash stuck to her claws. She tried to stand again. Her vision blurred. She heard boots behind her. Elias appeared, carrying a blanket and a light. He did not speak. He simply bent down, lifted her carefully, and carried her back inside. She was too tired to fight. He set her on the bed. He covered her with the blanket. He checked the bandages and added a fresh one. He sat in the chair beside her. You are stubborn. She looked at him through half-closed eyes. He smiled a little. I have had more practice. She slept then deeper than she had since the fall. The next morning Elias made tea. He handed her a cup without a word. She took it. Why did you follow? Because you left without saying goodbye. She sipped the bitter liquid. I wanted to die among my kind. You wanted to die with purpose. I understand. But purpose changes. She set the cup down. What purpose do I have here? Elias thought for a moment. You keep me from being alone too. She stared at him. A queen is not a companion. Maybe not in your old empire, but here rules are different. Days passed again. Elias repaired the solar panels on the roof. He taught her how to check the power levels. She learned quickly. Her claws were good for fine work once she stopped breaking things by accident. One afternoon a new signal came through the box. This time it was clearer. Lyra, the new queen, spoke directly. All loyal subjects of the true hive come forward. The old queen is dead. Her line is broken. Join me and rebuild. Vexara listened to every word. When it ended, she turned to Elias. She sounds sure. She wants to be sure. Vexara stood. I could prove her wrong. You could, but then what? Vexara walked to the wall. She placed one claw against the smooth metal. I do not know. Elias stood beside her. You do not have to know today. She looked down at him. Why do you refuse to leave me? He shrugged. Because you have not told me to go in a way I believe. She studied his face, the small eyes, the tired lines, the stubborn set of his mouth. If I told you now, go, human, leave this place and never return. He met her gaze. I would ask why. Because I am poison to everything I touch. My hive died. My daughters died. My empire died. He shook his head. Your hive died because of war. Not because of you. She turned away. You do not understand. Maybe not, but I understand enough to stay. She felt that small thing in her chest again. It was no longer so small. Outside the wind blew ash across the broken streets. Inside the bunker the heater hummed softly. Elias sat at the table and cleaned his rifle. Vexara watched him. She spoke quietly. I will stay. A little longer. Elias looked up. Good. He went back to his work. She sat across from him. Tell me about your people. He paused. What do you want to know? Why do you attach to one person? Why not a hive? Why not many? Elias thought. Because one person can be enough, if you choose right. She tilted her head. And you chose me? I did not choose. You just happened to be the one who needed someone to stay. She made a soft sound, almost a laugh. Human logic? Pretty much. For a long time, the signal box stayed silent. No more calls from the new queen. Vexara looked at the door. I will not try to leave again. Elias nodded. I know. She reached out slowly. Her claw rested lightly on his shoulder. Not to hurt, not to command, just to touch. Thank you. He covered her claw with his small hand. You are welcome. Outside, the stars watched the ruins. In the bunker, two beings from different worlds shared silence. And for the first time, Vexara did not feel the weight of loss quite so heavy. The humans still refused to leave, and the queen began to understand why that mattered more than any throne. Years passed slowly in the ruins. What once was a dead city began to breathe again. Elias and Vexara no longer stayed only in the bunker. They worked outside during the day, clearing rubble, building simple walls from salvaged metal and stone. Elias taught Vexara how to use human tools, a welder, a drill, a hammer. She broke many at first, but learned fast. Her strong claws were perfect for holding heavy beams steady, while he fused them together. They built a second room attached to the bunker, then a third. Refugees started to arrive. At first only a few. A human family whose ship crashed nearby. 2 Kelteron workers who escaped the new queen's strict rules. A mixed group of traders who heard rumors of a safe place in the ashes. No one asked for permission. They just showed up. Elias gave them tasks. Vexara watched silently at first. One day, a young Kelteron female limped to the gate. Her wing plates were scorched, her eyes dull with hunger. Vexara stepped forward. The female froze then. Dropped to the ground in the old sign of respect. My queen, I thought you were dead. Vexara looked down at her. I am no longer your queen. Stand. The female rose slowly. The new queen hunts those who speak of the old blood. She says the past must be erased. Vexara felt something stir inside her. Not the old command of the hive, but something quieter. Stay if you wish. No one will force you to bow. The female nodded and joined the work. She helped Elias repair water filters. Vexara showed her how to weave strong nets from salvaged cables. More came. A human mechanic, a Keltaran healer, an old trader who knew every black market route in the sector. They built homes, small but sturdy. They planted seeds in cleared soil. They shared meals around a fire every night. Elias never led. He fixed things. He listened. He laughed at bad jokes. Vexara never ruled. She advised when asked. She settled arguments with calm words. She used her old royal pheromones, once to calm a frightened child. No one demanded she sit on a throne. No one called her queen to her face. Yet they listened when she spoke. One morning, Elias found an old signal tower half buried. He dug it out, with help from the others. They raised it again, and connected it to the bunker power. Vexara watched from the doorway as he tested the controls. Static filled the air. Then a voice broke through. This is Remnant Fleet Command under Queen Lyra. All loyal subjects, report position. The heretic bloodline must be cleansed. Any who shelter the false queen will be marked for destruction. Elias turned off the broadcast. He looked at Vexara. They are coming. She nodded. How long? Weeks, maybe months. They move slow, but they move sure. That night the group gathered around the fire. Elias spoke first. We can run. I know hidden paths off-world. Vexara shook her head. No more running. The others looked at her. The young Keltaran females spoke. We stay with you. One by one, they nodded. Even the trader who always talked of profit said he would not leave. Elias smiled a tired smile. Then, we prepare. They worked harder. They built defenses, simple traps, pits with sharp metal spikes, walls reinforced with scrap. They trained with whatever weapons they had. Elias taught them how to aim. Vexara showed them how to move as a unit, how to use fear as a weapon. The attack came at dawn. Alarms screamed from the tower. 3 ships landed, heavy troop carriers. Dust rose in clouds. Soldiers poured out. Machine drones buzzed overhead. Armored Keltaran warriors marched in tight formation. Their commander stepped forward, a tall princess with fresh royal crest glowing bright. Surrender the false queen and the human who shelters her. No one else needs to die. Vexara walked to the front. Elias stayed at her side, unarmed but steady. The group stood behind them, rifles and blades ready, for all to hear. I claim no throne. I demand no loyalty. I offer only this place, a home for those who choose it. The princess laughed. You offer nothing. You are relic. You taint the hive with your weakness and this soft-skinned parasite. Elias stepped forward 1 pace. Call me what you want, but this place is ours now. Walk away. The princess raised her claw. Attack! The soldiers charged. Drones fired beams that scorched the ground. Elias dove behind a wall and returned fire. The group fought back. Traps snapped shut, taking down the first wave. Vexara roared. Her pheromones rolled out like fog. The attackers hesitated, confused. Their minds, touched by old royal command, clashed with new orders. Vexara moved into the fight. Her mended wing flared. She struck with precision, breaking armor, tearing weapons. Elias fought beside her, covering her blind side. He took a hit to the shoulder, but kept moving. Blood soaked his shirt. He never stopped. Lasted until the sun climbed high. The attackers broke. They retreated to their ships, leaving bodies and broken machines behind. The princess stood last. She looked at Vexara with hate and something like fear. This is not over. Vexara met her gaze. It never was. The ships lifted and vanished into the sky. Smoke rose from the battlefield. The defenders counted wounds. 1 human lost an arm. A Keltaran healer worked fast to save him. No one died. Elias sat against a wall, breathing hard. Vexara knelt beside him. She pressed a cloth to his shoulder. You bleed again. He grinned through the pain. Worth it. She looked around at the others. They helped each other. They carried the wounded inside. They started repairs without waiting for orders. Vexara spoke softly. They fought for this place. Elias nodded. For this place. For us. She placed her claw on his good shoulder. For you most of all. Nah. We all did our part. She did not argue. She helped him stand. They walked back to the bunker together. The settlement now had a name, spoken quietly by all. Spire's End. That night around the fire, no one spoke of queens or empires. They spoke of tomorrow, of seeds to plant, of walls to raise, of children who might grow up here safe. Vexara sat beside Elias. She watched the flames. She felt echoes through what remained of her old link. Not the vast hum of millions, but the small, warm presence of dozens. They were not her subjects. They were her people. She turned to Elias. You never asked for anything. No title, no reward. He shrugged. Did not need any. She leaned closer, her voice low. I offer you one thing. He raised an eyebrow. What? My trust. Complete and without end. He smiled. Already had that. She made a soft sound close to human laughter. Then stay. Always have. The fire crackled. Stars shone above the new walls. Spire's End grew stronger every day. The fallen queen no longer sought to rebuild an empire. She helped build a home. And the human who refused to leave stood beside her, still refusing to go anywhere else. Many more years flowed past like quiet water over stone. Spire's End grew from a handful of shelters into a true settlement. Sturdy homes lined neat paths. Gardens bloomed in patches of cleared soil. Children ran between buildings, their laughter mixing human voices with the soft clicks of young Keltaran mandibles. Traders came often now, bringing seeds, tools, cloth, news from distant stars. No one ruled the place. No queen sat on a high seat. No council made laws. Everyone worked together, shared what they had, listened when someone spoke sense. Vexara walked the paths every morning. She checked the water collectors. She helped lift beams for new roofs. She taught the young ones stories of old stars, not to make them bow, but to make them remember where their blood came from. She no longer wore the heavy royal crest. Her carapace gleamed, plain and strong, her wing folded neatly, no longer torn. She moved with calm purpose. Elias stayed the same in many ways. He still fixed things, carried his battered rifle when he scouted the edges. He still made tea every evening and handed her a cup without asking. He grew older, lines deepened around his eyes, his hair turned more gray, yet his hands stayed steady. His smile stayed quick. One clear morning, a delegation arrived. 3 sleek ships landed outside the walls. No soldiers stepped out. Only 3 figures, 2 Keltaran princesses in bright polished armor, and 1 human envoy in neat uniform. They walked to the main gate, flanked by honor guards who stayed back. Vexara met them on the wide steps of the central hall. Elias stood at her side, unarmed as always. The settlement gathered behind them, quiet but watchful. The lead princess spoke first. Her voice carried the old royal tone. "We come from Queen Lyra, bearer of the true hive. We bring terms. The heretic bloodline must end. Vexara will surrender herself for judgment. The human Elias Kane will face exile for sheltering a traitor. The settlement may continue, under new oversight, if it swears loyalty." Silence fell. The wind moved through the gardens. Vexara looked at the princess, then at the ships, then at the faces around her. "I claim no throne. I hold no hive. I rule nothing here. This place belongs to those who built it. They choose their own way." The second princess stepped forward. "You mock us. You live when tradition demands death. You mix bloodlines. You weaken the old ways." Elias spoke then. His voice stayed low but clear. "Tradition did not save your empire. War did not save it. Running did not save it. This place survives because people stay and help each other. That is strength you forgot." The human envoy looked uncomfortable. He cleared his throat. "We offer peace. If Vexara steps down quietly, no blood needs to spill." Vexara turned her head slowly toward Elias. He met her eyes. No fear showed there, only the same stubborn calm she had known since the first night in the ruins. Again. "I will not surrender. I will not die on your terms. I will not leave this home I helped make. If Queen Lyra wants my life, she must come take it herself." The lead princess hissed, "You invite destruction." Vexara made a soft sound, close to human laughter. "I invite nothing. I simply refuse to leave." The delegation stood silent for a long moment. The princesses exchanged looks. The envoy shifted his weight. "We will report your words. Queen Lyra will decide." They turned and walked back to their ships. The guards followed. The ships lifted without another word. Dust settled. The settlement exhaled. Vexara looked at Elias. "They will return someday." He nodded. "Probably." She placed her claw on his shoulder, the same way she had done years before. "You could have left 1,000 times. You could leave now." He smiled that small, tired smile. "Still could. Haven't been asked properly yet." She studied his face, the gray in his hair, the scars from old fights, the steady light in his eyes. "Then stay. Always have." They walked back inside together. The settlement returned to its work. Children played. Traders unloaded crates. Gardens grew. Walls stood strong. Night fell. Stars filled the sky. Spire's End glowed with soft lights from windows and fires. Vexara sat on the steps of the central hall. Elias joined her. They shared tea in silence. She spoke first. I lost everything once. Empire Daughters Link. All gone. He sipped his cup. You did not lose everything. She tilted her head. No, I did not. She looked out at the settlement, at the homes, at the people moving in the dark, at the gardens that fed them all. I found something instead. Elias set his cup down. A home. More than that, a choice. Every day people choose to stay, to build, to share. No queen commands it, no hive forces it. They choose. He looked at her. And you chose too, nodded slowly. I chose to live. I chose this place. I chose you. He laughed quietly. Stubborn queen, stubborn human. They sat in quiet. The night wind carried scents of growing things and warm stone. Somewhere, a child laughed. A Keltaran worker sang an old work song in low tones. Vexara reached out. Her claw rested lightly on his hand. He did not pull away. Thank you for refusing to leave. He turned his hand palm up. His fingers closed gently around her claw. Thank you for staying. Above them the stars watched unchanged. Below them, Spire's End lived on. A place born from ashes. A place held together not by force or tradition, but by one simple, stubborn refusal. The alien queen lost everything, except the human who refused to leave. And in the end, that was enough.